Sasquatch, Yahoo, Phantom of the Forest, you Spearfinger, Fire Dragon, Ohio Grassman, Silver Giant, Bloodless Howler, West Virginia Vampire, Coyote King, Hogzilla, Devil, Dark Coyote Killer. Cave creature, Mothman, Smoke Wolf, Lizard Demon, Ashman, Grafton Monster, Cow-killing Bastard, Shadow Creature, Dustman, Cherokee, Death Cat, Wild Man, Great Fire Rape. What else do I have to say? Steal yourself some chicken wire, and I'll get some lumber. Catch the Thunder Brothers. Don't you dare get out of the golf cart. We can keep our big seats while we hunt the Bigfeets. Snallygaster, Team, Red Island Bear Beast, Silver Giant, Squalling Savage, Black Wolf was kind of average, Stone Giant, Raven, Mocker, Midnight Whistler, Wampus Beast, Wawa Woman, Ohio Grassman again. Technically Huckleberry, Wolfman, or Wolf County need to find the axe again if we hunt the Lightning Man. Webster's Werewolf, Daily Howl, Kentucky Hellhound, Little Girl, Headless Horror, I can't take it anymore. Steal yourself some chicken wire, and I'll get some lumber. Catch the Thunder Brothers. Don't you dare get out of the golf cart. We can keep our big seats while we hunt the Bigfeet.
This here's Bigfeets, the only comedy podcast about mountain monsters that is officially endorsed by Bigfoot. I'm Robert Brockway, and yeah, that's real. He said that. Prove me wrong.
I'm here to introduce myself. I'm Sean Baby from the internet. I'm ready to catch me a Bigfoot.
And I'm Jason Pargin, the third member of the. Did we come up with a name for our squad that is chronicling the adventures of this Bigfoot hunting squad? Have we named ourselves?
It has to be an acronym of some kind.
We'll have that by the fourth episode because we're. And again, like Mountain Monsters, it takes a while for the format to.
I have one. Awesome investigators of a dangerous series.
Okay. It is.
No matter how many times you pitch it.
I think it's catchy, and that's not a pun.
Damn it. We're going to have to cut our third episode?
You guys have to understand that Sean grew up in a certain era, and he finds certain things funny and always will. Even as the world has changed
right, the world has
him.
changed around me.
What a great place to go into our plugs now. Who wants to go? Jason, you want to know?
Yes, I am an acclaimed author of novels. My newest one coming out that's up for pre-order now is called Zoe is Too Drunk for This Dystopia. It is in one of the Zoe Ash sci-fi novels. It's the third one, but they're episodic. You can start with the one that's not out yet if you want to for some reason. But otherwise, and I'm also Jason K. Pargin on all of the social media, including on TikTok, where I have 250,000 followers now.
It gets funnier every time we check in. It's how you're going to be remembered after you die. Your influence on meme culture on TikTok. Sean, plug something.
I am part of an all-star writing cast at 1-900hotdog.com. We are supported by patrons on patreon.com/1900hotdog. So go there and help keep the very, very last comedy website alive.
And I am co-host of the Dog Zone 9000 with, this is a crazy coincidence, with Sean Baby.
Famous Bigfoot hunter me?
Yeah. And we find the world's best and most forgotten garbage to joke and hilarify. There we go. Listen to that after you listen to this.
It's the best.
Or don't. I'm not.
I love our job. I'm going to miss it so much when the internet is just like two tech monopolies mining people's wit for money.
Yeah, next week is going to suck.
Yeah, next week's going to real suck.
All right. Could AI generate this podcast, a podcast chronicling every single episode of this Bigfoot hunting reality show that was, when it aired, was probably literally watched by between 2,000 and 3,000 viewers?
Being generous, of course.
Would it even occur to an AI to do this?
No, and that's why they're better than us. in every way.
That's why we're going to lose.
Sean didn't get us in the first episode with the WGA thing. You're not getting us off into a 6-hour talk about AI. We're here to talk about mountain monsters, the best hillbilly X-Files ripoff that will ever be. We'll never beat it. In the last episode, we almost proved that big dogs were real, but not quite.
I want to interrupt. I'm not sure it's an X-Files anymore because last episode, the entire concept of their Scully got completely defeated because they proved to their skeptic that devil dogs were real. I don't think he's ever going to do it again.
And he will have no problem in this episode believing in the Ohio Grassman.
He might. In none of the episodes is Buck a skeptic again. In the last episode, Buck did not believe in the devil dog, which was just supposed to be a big weird dog. But now they did capture some normal dogs, and that was enough. That was enough for Buck to be like, well, normal dogs do exist. They're right. So you can't rule out any dog.
If these dogs exist, logically, it only makes sense.
I think they tried.
That blood-sucking devil dogs also exist.
You have to follow the rationality, people.
You just had to convince me the dogs.
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it until I forgot about it. I think they were just trying out the dynamic of like, is this show better when we have a skeptic? And what they figured out is that was not better.
No, because a skeptic shreds the show to pieces because they don't have the budget to produce anything that would convince a skeptic. So all you get is, look at this print in the ground. It looks exactly like somebody took a Red Bull can and pressed it into the dirt 3 times.
This is actually a great point because even though it was just Buck and he didn't have anything except for the script said he was a skeptic, if the script didn't say he lost all of those arguments, they cut away from those scenes and Buck was winning. Buck was winning that could have been a mountain lion. They were all just like, fuck.
Those coyotes actually could have been killed by several things, including people. Could have been a poacher.
Yeah, but hard cut into Wild Bill falling out of a tree. All right. So
also, I think we do need to establish a ritual in our format. Every time we introduce the creature, I've already mentioned it is the Ohio Grassman. Somebody needs to briefly check to see if that is a thing, because we found out with the last episode, they invented a creature for mountain monsters. These are not like actual folklore creatures in every case.
This is a real guy.
Oh, sweet. We got a real one. Well, it's time to tackle him.
He was hunted on a show called Monster Quest in 2008. So he's already been hunted by a team of experts.
And they got him just like these guys?
I don't think they got him. It doesn't say that they got him in the episode.
See, that's why you got to watch Mountain Monsters. They get them. They get them every time.
Yep.
It's our first Bigfoot episode, and you can see them like sense this is the sea change. This is the momentous occasion. They'll hunt other monsters occasionally, but like Bigfoot is the meat and potatoes. So
they're Bigfoot men from here on out.
Let's get into it.
And to be clear, and for those only for some reason started this in the 3rd episode, when we say Bigfoot in the world of mountain monsters, Bigfoot describes an entire category of being, of which there are thousands.
Yeah, it's a genus. Yeah. It's like there are birds, and there are mammals and reptiles, and then there are Bigfeet.
Some of them have lightning powers. Some of them marry young Indian girls.
If you're on the fence about this podcast and where it will go, both of those things he just said are things that happen in this show later. not this episode, but this show eventually gets to Bigfoot marrying Indian girls and getting lightning powers.
And the Indian girls, one of my favorite tropes of the show, where one of them will bring something up during the improv and the others will disagree. Someone will be like, I heard that the devil dog can fly, and the other wants to be like, no, the devil dog can't fucking fly. Stop saying the devil dog can fly. And they'll have to kind of because they're not yes and all the time. Some of them are like, I think you're wrong, fellow improviser.
They're not even.
We're going to get an example of that in this episode. That's wonderful.
They're not even no but. They're no fuck you. No, fuck you for saying that. And we're just going to have a fight right now on camera. All right, so this is episode 3. It's season 1, the Grassman of Perry County. They're going to New Straitsville, Ohio, because Jeff got a video from a Joe.
New Straitsville, Ohio is so good. It's
It's
such a
so
great
good.
name. It's like where you only use the bathroom of the gender assigned at your birth.
It's what I would call like an ironically normal town in like an Alan Moore comic, where it's not going to be a normal town.
Yeah, there's a murderer living there or something. It sounds like that Mr. Show sketch where he has like that diverse crew and they do Operation Hell on Earth to like do like a racially motivated reimagining of America. Do you remember that sketch? New Straitsville would be where like they would put like the gay people who got the conversion therapy. Is my point.
That is a deep cut.
A very deep cut.
Very deep cut. That was a formative show for me. I love Mr. Show. I think most people should watch Mr. Show.
Watch that instead of this. Or what? No, wait. All right, so Jeff got a video from Ohio Joe. It's a blurry shadow. Hard quotes here on walking out of an outhouse because it is very clearly huge and in the shape of a Bigfoot. But the shape doesn't move at all as it glides away. It just kind of bounces around. So it could not be more clear that it's a piece of cardboard they've cut out and backlit and bounced
it's
away.
It's a Home Alone. It's the Home Alone bit.
They're pulling a Bigfoot Home Alone. The classic Bigfoot Home Alone on them. And Jeff immediately, as soon as he takes a look at that, says, "Well, I believe this is the Ohio Grassman."
Described as a traditional Bigfoot, only bigger.
Right.
This one's 8 or 9 feet tall, 1,000 pounds, which I thought that was the size of Bigfoot.
Yeah,
well, how big is Bigfoot supposed to be?
Is Bigfoot like 6'2"? Like, what is it?
Is Bigfoot like shorter than Sean?
Bigfoot's 6'2", well, like a buck 70, buck 80. He's just got big feet.
Yep. But everything's bigger in Straitsville.
Here we start our recurring gag. Unfortunately, it's at Jeff's expense again. He says, look at him next to that hunting shanty. And Jeff says, well, that's not a hunting shanty. That's a deer stand. And then they all at the same time say, that's what a hunting shanty is. And Jeff's all embarrassed, goes, oh, that's nicer. So that's our fucking running joke for the episode. That sucks. That's too bad. That's too bad that we got that one. Then we got that one the whole episode.
Yeah.
So it's time for them all to overload a pickup truck and drive all the way to Ohio. The Grassman's main turf, as they put it, which I just love, is Eastern Ohio. His main turf. He's got secondary turf in Virginia or something.
But it's real cute.
Now, they start to explain the local lore. The Grassman was first seen by immigrants in the 18th and 19th century. Huck chimes in with a lot of coal miners, ain't there? And Jeff says, yeah, of course. But them old coal miners, when the mines closed, they turned into bootleggers. Chekhov's bootlegger.
I was really hoping you were going to say Grassmen.
They turned into bootlegging
We all thought that's what he was going to say.
The mining jobs dried up. You had no choice but to go into the woods and become the knight.
The third straight episode, been seeing them since the 1700s.
Yep.
Not at all clear if the Grassman is a singular immortal creature or a species of creature that for some reason only inhabits this one town in Ohio.
Trapper clarifies a little bit.
A crew of miners that went mad. That's what I'm going with.
That would be a great episode. I would love it if that's the direction this took. That would be like a solid X-Files episode. But of course, that's not what happens. What happens is so much better than that. Trapper explains lots of times they'll just go right out and build them a nest, which is my favorite part of Mountain Monsters Bigfoot lore is that they nest.
The first thing he says is like, tell me about them. Well, they love nests.
They're a nesting species. Of course, they lay eggs, and they have to. The mama Bigfoot has to sit on them.
And in the best bit of like Chekhov's gun foreshadowing, these nests look a lot like just piles of sticks.
Yeah.
That have been quickly thrown together by a camera crew and 5 out of shape men.
Actually, Jeff even dials this in. I feel like they're finally getting, somebody's reading a book on like story structure. They're finally getting it. Because Jeff now says, that, you know what? Sounds like a good place to find a Grassman down in one of them deep hollers looking for moonshine. Why? I don't think he meant to imply that the Bigfoot would be looking for moonshine, but maybe he means to imply that this Bigfoot has an alcohol problem,
Right.
and that's how they're going to lure it. And one of my favorite pieces of dialogue in this entire show so far, Buck chimes in to say, "Why do they call this thing the Grassman?" Which is the dumbest question I've ever heard. And Trapper says, back in the 18th century, the settlers seen this human-looking creature. He was in the grassy plains.
In the grassy
plains. They called him the Grassman. It's just the dumbest fucking answer I've ever heard.
Dumbest answer to the dumbest question.
Gotta understand, people weren't too creative back then.
Why on earth do they call him the Grassman? Well, he's a man in the grass.
Yeah.
All right.
If he was walking by a pool, they would have called him Public Pool Man.
Jeff has one more piece of information. He wants you that if you smell rotten eggs, get out of there. That's the Grassman. They've got an odor, boy. It's unbelievable. That's Jeff's wisdom. Kind of lead the scene on the odor. It's unbelievable.
There's a lot of seeds being planted here in the start of the episode.
Yeah, they're getting good at it. They're
really good at storytelling. Because they also talk about the nest. They're like, "Oh, you'll know it when you see it. It's like a stack of sticks, like an igloo."
A brushy igloo, of course, a Bigfoot nest.
Now we'll know it when we see it.
So they're off to see their first witness, who is Joe, 50-something prospector. I don't have to say that. He tells the story of how he saw the Grassman.
What's his job again?
I don't remember what his job is.
They had him as deer hunter.
Oh, he's a professional deer hunter, of course.
Obviously.
Well, he saw
again,
it.
People who live in the rural parts of America, they don't work. They literally are just woodsmen who just live and hunt. It's basically, you're basically in 1773 when you go outside of the country's major metropolitan areas.
They curse and throw sticks at cars, thinking they're demons. Of course. So Joe goes to tell a story, and what his story is, I saw it up by the shanty. And then they all wait, and that's it. That's the end of the story. He saw it up by the shanty, and he did not take an improv class. They found him down at the gas station, offered him $50. They all pile into their outdoor golf carts and arrive at the shanty. They give Jeff a little bit of shit again. Fucking deer stand. And Jeff takes the measurement. Trapper says, well, he takes the measurement and it's as they expected. It's like 8.5, 9 feet. And Trapper says, something that big, it'd be easy to miss it out here because there's nothing out here.
What?
Well, hold on. What? Do you want to dissect that sentence? Because something that big. And then you think he's going to be say something about how you couldn't miss it, but it would be easy to live out here because there's nothing out here.
I think that's like when you say something that sort of goes against common sense, like how it feels smart to a dumb person. I feel like that's what we're dealing with here. Like where he's like, it's so big, it's small. It's so big you can't see it. It's like, yeah.
And it's also proven false because they got it on video. They're here because he got it on video, walking right past exactly where they're standing. So, no, you would see it. Because you did.
Nobody missed it.
Now, Joe says, when I was a kid, I used to go ginsenging with Grandpa, which threw me a little bit. But apparently every hillbilly does it. It's not weird. Every hillbilly does it. There's places out, and he says, there's places out here people have never even been. So he's claiming there's uncharted territory in Ohio. Joe can prove that crazy fucking statement and says, well, I saw me a holler once with my grandpa, and I said, what's down there, Grandpa? And he said, I don't know. I don't want to climb down there and climb back out. And that means people have never been there.
Never been there. The pioneering spirit of America ends here at the slope of this holler.
Fucking, I don't know, kid. I don't want to climb that. I'm old. And he's like, that's unexplored territory. You couldn't go down. You need a rover of some kind. Some kind of Bigfoot rover to go down there where man cannot be. I don't even know if there's oxygen down there.
Yeah. Well, when Lewis and Clark made their way west, there was a lot of places they didn't go because they were like, no, there's kind of like a little dip. We don't want to go into the dip.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to get out.
It looks hard, and that's why to this day it's called It Looks Hardville, Nebraska. So They immediately cut to a night investigation. They're in that deep holler where no man can go. No man has ever set foot in this before. We've just hyped this up. Uncharted territory. Trapper says, we're in the Grassman's domain. We got to figure out his travel path so we can put a trap up. So we're already just trying to trap him.
Right.
We've known about his existence for seconds. He's done nothing. We've established nobody's ever even really seen him. They're like, yeah, we're going to trap him.
He took a crap in that hunting shanty.
We got to get revenge. They hear some light rustling in the forest, and of course, you know what that means. They've found Bigfoot on their first night in the first place they looked. Within minutes,
luck.
it is Bigfoot.
They introduce a proud Mountain Monsters tradition here, where Buck falls in the creek, and I feel like this is I think this is the first time they've done that, right?
It is. Something happens before that, though, that might explain Buck's state of mind.
Okay, for sure.
So Trapper explains they'll pick up a short log and beat on a tree, telling you it's his territory, and you get the hell out. And then he clarifies, but if we hear that, we're not going anywhere. So if we hear that, we're gonna fight him. And they chase him to a sheer cliff face and conclude it's only, they don't say, but it's implied like, oh my God, how'd he get out of here? Can Bigfoot fly?
No.
And then fucking shit, a huge log comes flying at them from the night. Probably. It's not shown on camera. And they duck, and Huckleberry says, Trapper, this ain't a good situation. Exactly like that. Cut to commercial. Recap for, I want to say 5 straight minutes. There's been 15 minutes of show. So we're basically just playing the show back at this point. We get our first glance at the CGI Bigfoot. Sean, you want to tell me about them thighs?
Oh my God, these thighs, they're so luscious.
They're real luscious on this one.
This thing is 90% thigh. It's like an orangutan, but then take away the orangutan and just replace it with lusty thighs.
Now, see, what I got from this, from the upper portion of this CGI, and I think they're learning their show very well, because what they actually have when they show very grainy footage, very barely there, that they'll show later, is a really shitty ape costume.
Right.
And so what they've done is made the CGI look like a really shitty ape costume. So that when they show it, they're like, yeah, that we got him. That's what Bigfoot looks like.
Prior to Buck falling in the creek, they make a very big deal as they're walking through the woods. They say 3 or 4 times what incredibly rough terrain this is. Like, this is seriously rough terrain. Like, this is, it's like in old Vietnam movies. You hear them talking about like, this is some serious jungle going through, some serious bush we're going through here. Like it's, and then you see them walking into this through just some flat woods.
It's a really
it's muddy. I mean, it's wet. But it is just normal, any kind of woods where, again, I believe 100% that their vehicles are parked on a main road no more than 100 feet from the spot. Like as soon as they have like tree cover that kind of seems like woods, they say like, okay, here's where we're going to shoot. And they just kind of tromp around that little tight area.
And almost kills them.
And it is extremely dangerous. When you do see them climb a hill or like have to climb up a little bit of an incline, they're so like shaky and unsteady that it looks like taking me out in the woods. Like, I'm not a woodsman. And it's like clear these people who, again, claim to be in the woods 200 days out of the year, it all feels foreign to them. Like, they don't know how to navigate it. That is the thing with Buck falling in the water. You would think that would be like a comedy beat, but it's like this guy's never walked across an ankle deep creek before.
Well,
yeah,
what
might be dead.
What happens is they're coming across and Buck falls on his ass in the creek, and they go Buck down, and they almost laugh it off. And then he starts walking again, and he falls in the creek again, in the same creek, like almost immediately. And then Trapper, with genuine concern, says, "Don't strain your back." I believe that interaction. I believe you might hurt your back falling in this creek twice. But they cut to Buck for his testimonial about how he fell in the creek twice. And he says, "I'm a husky ninja. I'm going to wear that Bigfoot out."
Okay, but it's hard. I realize it's probably confusing how we're describing the scenario. It's because the way it's shot and edited, They are there. They encounter noises, and then they claim a log was thrown at them. That this is now they've established this is a behavior of the Ohio grassman. He throws logs at you, and then they have to retreat across this creek. Like that's the tension of the scene to get out of log throwing range.
Right.
And then while they're doing that, he falls down the creek, and it's like it should be like a sense of urgency, like oh my gosh, he's we're trying to run away from the Ohio grassman. And who's chucking logs at us?
Run.
And he falls. And then they do two separate testimonials in the middle of this retreat. One of them is Trapper saying, "Well, we figured we needed to get out of log throwing range." And then later, like you mentioned, they cut after Buck falls for the third or fourth time, and now somehow soaked head to toe, even though the water is very shallow, that he falls and rolls around so thoroughly that he has. Because it's so difficult for him
He does everything he can to die in 2 inches of water.
And he says, "I'm a husky ninja. I'm going to wear that Bigfoot out." After the reason he's giving that testimonial, he says, "I'm a husky ninja," in is because he fell in the same creek twice.
Yeah.
That's why he's doing it.
From the Bigfoot's perspective, though, he tossed one log at them, and then one of them almost died.
In the water.
Just trying to slowly leave.
Well, this shit's going to be easy. Buck further explains, "I'm going to go over there and strategize how I can kick this grass man right in the crotch. That grass man's an asshole."
Yes.
There's no ground level enough for that.
From this point in the episode forward, Buck falling in 6 inches of water is the instigating incident that has them determined to now kill the grassman.
It's not an exaggeration. They now want revenge for him.
They will openly state this over and over again that they are out to get payback because they came into its territory. It threw a stick at them, and then and Buck fell in the water, and now this thing has to die.
And then Buck fell in 2 inches of water twice. Now we got to avenge Buck, even though he's right over there.
This is how World War I started.
It's very similar.
Threw a log at Franz Ferdinand. Yeah. Fell in that creek so many times he died from it.
Yeah. They are not here to study the grassman. They are not here to capture, to take it back, or show it to a university. No. They're here to kill it and wipe it out, and then urinate on its corpse.
Fucking blow that motherfucker away. So we cut to Wild Bill and Willie's trap shack. And Trapper has some impeccable logic. He says, he saw that he kind of walked hunched forward. So if we dig a pit, he'll fall in it.
This is spectacular. Everything that occurs from here on out,
it's such a good episode.
This is everything that happens because it starts with they've established early on, and again, I realize things like the measurements of the creatures are different every time they cut back to somebody. So they made a big mistake in the early part of the episode, saying this thing was between 8 and 9 feet tall, 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Because that means 8, 9 feet tall, it puts its arms up over its head. How tall is that going to be now? 15 feet, whatever? Like it's, you've seen a Bigfoot, like it's big. So when he says, we're going to have to, the only way to catch this thing is a pit trap, you've got to be picturing like a freaking diamond mine. Like this, that is not a minor pit trap that's going to catch something that with its arms extended can be 13, 14 feet high and presumably can jump like any creature. But Bigfoot, you assume this thing is not like an elderly man. It is powerful.
They specifically say, he specifically says, so 12 feet deep.
Which would not in any way be significant. Like that would not be suitable to catch a creature that size. But spoiler alert, they are not going to successfully dig a 12-foot deep hole. That's a deep hole. That's a serious hole. Like we'll get to that. It only gets funnier from here.
He's banking on Bigfoot not being able to do a pull-up. You can't even do one. I've seen him. So Willie is now real concerned about renting an excavator. He's like, well, I'm going to have to rent an excavator for that. I'm like, maybe there's a reason they won't let him rent heavy machinery. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what it could be. But he has to says, well, you'll have to let me use your credit card. And now we do a fun comedy beat where he's like, I'm gonna get a bunch of stuff, and Trapper's like, no, I'm gonna get receipts. I'm gonna check them, and then he still gives the meth trap artist his credit card, which is the unwisest thing I've seen anybody do.
Just told him, I'm going to steal from you, and he's
I'm
like,
going to rob you blind. And what Trapper's line that he says about it was, "Don't make me hump up like a dog shitting razor blades."
Okay,
that
was going to be my quote of the episode. Yeah. I will pick something else.
No, you can pick it if we say it. Like, it's fine.
I feel like he's saying that to become the quote of the episode. He knew we were doing this. Yes,
we have to pick a quote from the episode. We'll probably get to all the great quotes. You can call dibs now. But I don't know how you're calling dibs this early because there's so much. So we get to our next witness, who is a guy named Moon. He is a 50-something prospector, of course, with interesting headgear. He was out here camped out at 2 a.m. when he heard something screaming in the woods, and he says, "Sure did make my butt pucker." And he describes what just strikes me as the craziest fucking thing that's happened so far. He describes Bigfoot, the Grassman, I'm sorry, hooting and hollering, sprinting down the side of a hill, and launching itself off. Now, he doesn't specify a cannonball, but I have to assume a cannonball.
Oh, yeah.
It launches itself off a high bank into the water. It's just to make a bitchin' cannonball. He runs down the hill hooting and then fucking books it into the water like he's running from bees. And Moon, they ask him how tall he was, and Moon says, "Oh, about 6 feet."
Could have been a guy. Could have just been a guy.
This is why it starts to get so funny with them trying to build. Because again, if this were real, and I'm not saying it's not.
We can't prove that.
Can't prove it. In the event this is real, making this trap not deep enough means somebody's going to die.
Yes.
Like, they initially described this as a creature that could tear a man in half. I mean, a 9 foot tall, 1,000-pound creature, you're not going to win a fight against that thing. Even if you were in superb shape.
Yeah, it's a grizzly
Even
bear.
if you were like an American Ninja Warrior champion, you're not going to escape that thing, let alone these guys.
So, who died in a creek. Just barely.
Yeah.
Just barely surviving.
So the idea that they are so far off in their estimates one way or the other, I'm surprised they didn't do a second take with this guy where they at least cajoled him a little bit. Like, well, couldn't he have been a little bit taller? Like, it's probably hard to say from this. And some people are saying he's 8 or 9 feet tall. Could he have been that? But I just imagine the guy just kept coming back saying, no, 6'6", probably
6.
Now, this being dark and him hooting and hollering and doing a cannonball into the river, are you sure you didn't just see a drunk guy? Could you have maybe just seen a drunk guy?
And in fact, what about this indicated that it was the Ohio Grassman at all?
At all.
Right, if he's 6 feet and it's dark, what the fuck are you doing? Other witnesses, you expect the way that this escalation goes, other guys have video, tracks, fucking Bigfoot semen samples. That's the end of this guy's story.
Yeah. Another suspicious thing about this guy, he kind of had beautiful hair. Like, he's the only man they've ever met that shampoos. And I thought that was suspicious. Like, he was a honeypot.
That's his interesting headgear.
Yes, that's his interesting headgear.
Identify him.
And then he led them to a second location, which, I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't follow this guy to a second location. These guys don't have, like, my sense of danger.
I wouldn't invite these guys to a second location, though.
There's that,
to be fair, from both sides, everybody's getting murdered in this equation.
So here's this man with beautiful hair saying, "Gentlemen, come with me to a second place, and I'll tell you whatever story you want to hear." Sure. Yeah, I saw Bigfoot. Jumped out. Yeah, 6 feet tall. Whatever. 9, whatever you guys say. Just.
So now to recap their plan, just a big old hole. So it's back to Willie digging a big old hole. He's working the excavator, and he keeps stopping because he's certain the Grassman is watching him excavate.
Yeah. Okay. Couple of details here. One, he has come back with this tiniest little excavator. He got the biggest one that he could afford before he tapped out the limit on Trapper's credit card. that it is not an excavator that could dig a 12-foot tall deep hole. Like,
it's
it doesn't have an
it's
arm and
backyard
bucket.
renovation.
Yeah, it's a backyard little dinky one you would let your children play on. Like, this is the excavator that Sean would rent for his daughter to dig in the backyard with on her birthday.
Yeah, go put in a septic line, sweetheart.
So while he's digging, before he mentions he's being watched, he has already said that this pit's got to be 8 feet deep.
So we're downscaling
50% of their witnesses said it can leap 15 to 20 feet. So, like, I don't think it's deep enough.
Already, you now have a pit that would be like trying to catch Sean Baby in a pit that's 4 feet deep.
If he couldn't do a pull-up.
Right.
Even if the lore was that this particular Ohio grassman was very old and very sick, it's like, well, this grassman's got tuberculosis.
Grass grandpa over here. Run the grass grandpa.
An 8-foot trap, unless you lined it with spikes, which they're not going to do, that would just be part of the terrain of the woods. Like, it wouldn't even see that. Like, there are holes deeper than 8 feet just in the woods where an old tree fell over and left a divot in the ground. Like, that would not be unusual terrain for the Ohio grassman it would not know it was in a trap. It would just have stepped over an indentation in the earth from its point of view. That's so great to me because they have no ability to go back and retcon something
now
that would make that trap make sense.
I know we all have the benefit of foresight, but I feel like I have been to the beach as a child, and so I can see the problem that we will get to with this hole. Immediately.
Yeah, but by the way, it is in these woods. Everything is wet. It has been raining. That creek
it's
like
mud. They're
running
digging in
with
mud
water.
Right now.
It's a rainy season. Yeah,
maybe we just gave away the. See if you can solve the mystery at home, everybody. So he's being spied on by Sasquatch, which is watching him dig this hole. And they know this now in their fiction. Like, Sasquatch is watching him dig a big hole right there, and they're like, but they still go ahead with it. And
imagine how funny it must be for Sasquatch if it occurs to him that that's a trap for him. Like, if it occurs to him, like, oh, is that for me? Oh, that's never going to work. This is hilarious.
Are these the guys that almost died in the creek last night? What the fuck are they doing?
Well, he like turns to his wife, watch this, I'm going to throw a stick at him. They will fucking lose it.
They scatter. It's so funny watching them. They'll try to scatter. They do their best. God bless them. So their plan now is that the grassman will try and fail to jump over it. That's what he says. Like, the grassman can't resist a long jump.
Why?
It's part of his lore.
Yeah, and by the way, there are human beings on Earth that can easily jump over the pit they dig. Just regular people that can do that. I couldn't.
I might have. I forget what my record was back in long jump, but it wasn't very much. So
I think
I could do it. What was it?
20 feet, 2 inches.
Yeah. You could do it.
Yeah, very easily. You could
wouldn't
jump
even
over
be a
2
challenge.
of the traps they're going to dig.
So Grassman they're counting on Grassman just being like, honey, watch this shit. Now Grassman officially in canon has a wife. Honey, watch this shit. And then he just gets a book and start and leaps over it. They're counting on him not being able to do that with his, I swear to God, his stride is like 8 feet. All right. So we're bagging on Willie's hole. We're off to meet our next witness, who is just Tim, which seems a little odd. He has.
Well, now hold on. Do you think they got some complaints or some notes from the first 2 episodes giving the witnesses wacky names?
We've had like Seth
was like,
and Richard and now Tim.
Joe. Well, they had a moon this episode, right?
We did have a moon, so they're not giving it up completely. And in later episodes, I don't think they do give it up completely, but they start mixing in normals. They're like, all right, some of them are just named Tim. He's wearing
Tim's outfit,
a wicker Jimmy Buffett hat. Like they're running out of identifiable hats. He also, you won't believe this, does a lot of ginsenging.
Yeah. I like his yellow jacket too. He looks like the guy that hung out with Curious George.
His yellow jacket and his Bahama hat.
Possibly Tom Bombadil. Listeners, if you are from Ohio, tell us, is this ginseng thing? Everybody they run into, it's like, yeah, we were out catching ginseng. I didn't know that was
ginsenging.
I don't know I don't know what they do with it. I guess they brew it in tea to, or is that slang that is jokingly referencing something else?
Right.
I was out of my ginseng lab, and
Portable ginseng lab, not the old one that blew up because man, you got to be careful with ginseng. No, and he has a photo of a footprint, so I don't know why we're downgrading to photos when we're making this all up anyway. But it's a 15-inch footprint, and Buck chimes in to say that'd make it an extremely large foot.
I mean, yeah, that's a Shaquille O'Neal foot.
So Jeff makes a square box exactly the size of the foot and says, I can't picture it. We need a foot to go in it.
I love this so much.
and then the worst thing that has ever happened to me occurs. Okay,
Buck
I'm sorry.
says, they say, what's your foot in there, Buck? And Buck says, no. He says no to the improv. Which is I think this is the first time he directly says no, and then they cut to a testimonial being like, "It's snowing, it's cold out. Besides that, I got little feet. Huckleberry's got ginormous feet. He's got a size 14 foot." And then the worst thing that's ever happened to Jason,
because they were trying to do an improv. We're razzing the rookie bit, but Buck has decided as of episode 3, he's not doing the rookie thing anymore.
Yeah. He's a caller now.
Episode 2, he gave up his skeptic role. In episode 3, or he did the skeptic role. Episode 3, it's just like, no, now I'm like, the whole thing is supposed to be like, we're ribbing Buck. We're giving Buck a hard time, making him get barefoot out here in the snow. And it'll be funny. Comedy will ensue. There will be entertainment for our TV program. And Buck's like, no.
Fuck you. I fell in a creek.
I'm a Husky Ninja now. Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So Huckleberry is like, fucking fine, clearly having this sprung on him. He takes off his shoe and he's wearing a plastic bag over his sock. And they all unanimously, all at the same time, go, hillbilly waterproofing. And he unsheaths, I can only say, the most fucking terrifying foot I have ever seen in my life. It's weird and thin. He has, I swear to God, they're 3-inch long, absolutely filthy toenails. Like the toe beds are bruised and irritated. He's got like a witch. I would burn his foot as a witch if I could.
And it's been pickled too. It's in a bag, just in its own juices.
Pickling in a bag. Like if he knew he had to do this scene, there's no way they would pick somebody else. Because once he took that foot out, everybody was like, "Fucking, oh my God, this is not funny anymore. This is not a funny scene."
Yeah.
Nobody comments on it. You would have to comment on it. See, and this is why I say Jason says they're all actors. I think some of them, I think Huckleberry is a hillbilly. That is a hillbilly foot. You cannot fake that. That is
fake it.
That's your hillbilly bona fides right there.
If they faked it, they would have had to have set that up months in advance. It takes like half a year minimum to get a foot like that.
I think it takes a lifetime.
Maybe a lifetime. Like I just don't think you can like train for that foot.
Even if you trim the nails. That's a monster foot.
Let me explain my thesis here. I am not from Appalachia, but I am from close to it. I am from not far from Kentucky in rural Illinois. So you meet people from there. There's spillover. Modern hillbillies exist, and they drive those side-by-sides, and they go in the woods, and they do fun stuff. But they live in the modern world. like they may have grooming habits of Huckleberry, and they may do in their spare time, they may go out in the woods and do, but they have day jobs as welders or drywallers or whatever. They're normal people, and they just, that is an impoverished area, but it's not impoverished in like we're catching possums off the highway and cooking them over a fire. It's we're eating very bad diets of fast food from whatever they've got, whatever fast food restaurant they've got, and a lot of that kind of thing. So yeah, these people are from rural West Virginia. I don't doubt that. It's just that they are playing the role of what they think TV executives, I guess, and what audiences think.
They're doing Beverly Hillbillies is what they're doing. They're doing...
Yeah, because like to walk around in Ohio in a spot that, again, is probably within half a mile of the highway. I was like, well, there's parts down here where no human has ever been. And they think this is like middle America, like normal people out in the suburbs think this, that if you get off the main drag in Ohio, suddenly your end, like dragons could exist.
Piled
like
assumptions of racism, of a
Yeah,
bigotry.
when in reality, in that spot they're standing, they almost certainly have 5G coverage.
Right.
Like it's almost like even there, like it doesn't matter where you like they straight up have Wi-Fi in that spot.
Oh my God, Bigfoot just texted me.
A species of life no scientist had ever studied just airdropped me some images.
they've established fucking I don't know what could possibly be established by having Huckleberry put his monster foot in this, and they all look at it and go like, yeah, all right. And that's it. That's what they
again, someone, I believe at this point in someone, well, he's got to be 9 feet tall, based on them looking at Huckleberry's foot
in a box
in a square they drew in the sand.
I love this so much. With a little tape measure, they're like, look, because his went in this far when he pushed down. So like, if it went down this far, then that's got to be 3 times the weight. It's just the most napkin math like nonsense.
Yeah, because again, 1,000-pound creature putting all that weight on one foot, that would make a very deep indentation.
Probably.
It would not make a tiny little whatever they did when they pressed something into to make their very bad footprints. Right. They may have actually taken wood and carved out a footprint shape for this episode and pressed it down, but it again
a bit much for them, but it's possible.
They exaggerate the size of the creature to kind of overwrite to reassure the viewer, like, hey, we are not after a 6'4".
Right.
We're not after a 6 foot tall swimming guy.
Do not trust that guy. Does anyone remember what happened when we saw Moon? I'm missing like 6 hours of time. He gave us his cocktails, and then
God forbid we should cut it from the episode, but we've only filled 23 minutes of footage for this 48-minute show.
We need to zoom in on Huckleberry's foot for a solid minute. I know it's going to be traumatizing.
The methodology was so good that they actually got the creature's height from this as well. They're like, they measured it with a tape measure, the hole in the dirt, and they're like, oh, he must be 9 feet tall. So like, it's scientifically verified.
He's 9 feet tall and 900 pounds now. They verified it because he's 3 times the weight of Huckleberry, who is very coyly saying he's 260. So they time to jump to the meth shack here, to Wild Bill and Willie's trap shack. Willie rolls up on his cute little excavator, and he finds the hole is entirely full of water because it's been raining.
And his shock and despair at discovering, again, while he was digging it, there were rivulets of water running into it. It is very wet. The ground is saturated. There's standing water everywhere there can be. The sadness he expresses and realizes, because again, this obviously means they're all going to die to the Ohio Grassman because their one hope of catching him.
They built it a hot tub.
There's no.
To be clear, it has filled completely
to the top. I do believe this was the unscripted part of the show, that they thought that hole would just be a hole when they come back because they don't have all the way object permanence.
Of course they did. They absolutely were certain that they could leave that overnight and come back to finish digging the next day.
It's pouring rain. It's pouring rain on them the whole time.
To remind the listener, he cut the project short because he felt like the Grassman was watching him.
Yes.
And so it's like, well, we'll come back tomorrow and finish digging it when he's not here stalking me.
I flash back to that first episode when they showed us as he was building that box, and they showed us an entire piece of notebook paper full of hillbilly equations. I flash back to him like just writing down on a hillbilly chalkboard, which is a piece of cardboard or something, and he's just writing down all of his equations, and at the end it's just water with a question mark.
Does it exist?
Does it?
Can we prove it?
What does it mean? Oh, here's what it meant. So he tries to bail it out with the excavator. It does nothing.
The second saddest thing I've seen in this episode, in an episode full of it,
because he's driving he's not even driving away. He's just turning to the side and tossing it down there where it goes back in the hole.
What is an excavator if not a giant spoon?
Again, even if if hypothetically, if Sean had his children use this toy child excavator to dig a hole, and they came back the next morning to see it was full of water, and if he watched his daughter try to excavate the water out of the hole, he would feel some disappointment.
You would turn your phone on for a funny video, but you would also be
how you get on TikTok.
So when they all show up, and I swear to God, they actually did film the moment. Like I believe this is a spontaneous moment where they show up and see that it's full of water because he's pissed off. He's like, "What the fuck is this?" And Willie immediately says, "Well, that's quicksand at the bottom there."
He's still going with it. He's like, "It's good. It's even better.
It's quicksand." And Trapper even starts to go like, "No, you got to drain the hole. Like you gotta." But then Bucks chimes in and is like, "Yeah, the mud will stick him. It's better. This is better." This is better. They actually jump in to try to save him, and then you see them all win Trapper over to where he's like, fine, yeah, okay, this could work. All right, I guess we're doing this. It's now a Bigfoot hot tub, and he'll fall asleep in it, I guess.
But who is all this for? Like, imagine a viewer who was like on board with one or the other. Oh, this would never work on a Bigfoot. Or the viewer who's thinking, they got to get that water out of there if they really want to catch the Bigfoot. Like, it's just for nobody.
It's for the person who said, yeah, that is better. That is a quicksand trap. That's what that is.
And to be clear, this unfinished hole that's full of water, it's no more than 4 feet deep. Right. That's all the further he got before having to quit and go home for that day. Because again, that machine obviously cannot dig a 12-foot hole. It would be a little bit of a challenge for it to dig a 6-foot hole that is like
it doesn't go down 12 feet.
Yeah, it's like sheer on both sides. So he got down about 4 feet, and then water came and filled it in. So they now have a 4-foot deep mud puddle that, again, within that woods, there are natural 4-foot deep puddles of mud that we know the Grassman has not gotten stuck in before because he would still be there.
Now, here's the thing that I thought of while they were explaining this. According to their fiction, because they don't say, well, I only got 4 feet. They say this is like, I believe he says it's at least an 8-foot deep hole.
It's not.
It's not, but that's what they say. That's what they say. And now that it's full to the brim with water, Bigfoot is going to stick in the bottom 2 feet of it, which are all mud. So they're going to just drown Bigfoot.
for getting Buck wet.
Yeah,
this is
that
like
would be their
rat
cosmic,
trap.
their karmic punishment.
You dunk our friend. You see how you like our Bigfoot dunk tank.
But the best part is about to happen. So what is the next step in laying this trap?
So he says, well, that's quicksand at the bottom there. Of course, we're going to turn this into a mud quicksand trap. And now we have to build the cover for it. So they bring in bamboo, and we have Wild Bill hacking at the bamboo wildly with a machete. And I believe it's Buck who says, you could be in a samurai movie. Like, he's just a fucking maniac. He's just going crazy. And they even cut to Willie at that point to find what I imagine is like, it's got to be the West Virginia equivalent of Bless Your Heart, but for explaining meth heads. Because he says, Wild Bill, he has an energy level that's like way up here. He is just, and I quote, he is just on a wild man on a mission.
Wild Bill has an energy level that's right up here is another quote that I had set aside to go something.
So, very nice.
Because that is clearly, everyone in that space knows it is code for something.
For he took too much today. He's going to be a lot. And we cut to a short montage of Wild Bill's high energy fucking everything up. He's just like dropping shit, knocking stuff over. They finally managed to pull the bamboos poles over the pit and cover it with a tarp and then a bunch of sad leaves.
Oh, no, stop. They cover it with a what?
They cover it with a tarp.
They cover it with a tarp. And their plan involves the Bigfoot getting his feet glued to the bottom of quicksand. And they have covered it with a tarp. So now you have created a scenario where even the viewer, the hypothetical viewer that is 100% on board with the fiction of the show, the mental image in every episode, to spoil it, I'm going to tell you right now, in every episode of the show, the mental image their traps create on your mind of the best case scenario is delightful. It is so childlike and whimsical.
Adorable.
So here you have this 9 foot tall, 1,000-pound creature coming to the spot where he saw them digging a hole.
Where he saw it.
But
He watched it the whole
now-
time.
And now sees there's a neat plain of leaves there and thinks, oh, those strange creatures, they filled in their hole, thankfully.
Yes.
I will just walk, I will attempt to jump over it. I don't know there's a hole there, but I will try to jump over it.
So that's part of the plan.
And then
is Bigfoot long
We'll
jumping it.
accidentally land in the exact middle, but now he has a waterproof barrier between him and the quicksand. The tarp will lower and create a nice pool liner
Yep.
for this mud pit so now he's just standing in dirty water.
Those assholes
up
got
to
me.
his-
They got me good. I'm
Like
I'm all wet.
dirty water.
Up to his abdomen on a tarp that is protecting him from the quicksand. Do you see my issue here? That I feel like they with a few minutes of explanation, they could have come up with something.
They could have just cut away while he was still digging the hole and said, like, yeah, 16 feet deep. Like, it's not with that little excavator, but you could do almost anything except for show in excruciating detail every single way you failed in order. And then
If they showed Wild Bill come out with like mud up to his elbows, and he said, "I did it! It's 16 feet deep." You'd be like, "Yeah, that's taking care of
he's
it."
high energy today. Everybody watch out. Speaking of that, Wild Bill's shenanigans are not over. They cut to him, just kind of short montage of him fucking everything up because he's got high energy. And Wild Bill says, as they're finishing the pit, he says, he definitely comes on there. Hey, his old hide belongs to us, brother. And then he hits himself in the leg with a stick. And they need to go gather some leaves. So they call Wild Bill. And Wild Bill is halfway up a hill just gathering huge armfuls of moss. And they say, like, Wild Bill, you're going with Willie because he's the one who can fucking handle you when you're like this. And he just turns immediately like my dog hearing the fridge open and starts running down the hill, loses control of his feet, and comes within like an inch of flying headfirst into the trap.
And he would have died. I believe he would not have. He would be one of the creatures on Earth that would not survive that trap.
He would be wrapped up in that pool liner, unable to thrash out, thrashing wildly though.
And I do not think, unless the camera people are extremely competent, like first responders, I don't believe anyone at the scene would know how to rescue him from that situation.
How many times in his life do you think Wild Bill has accidentally wound up in a man trap? I bet it's not his first time.
7 out of 8 of every man trap they build.
That's a Wild Bill. We got Wild Bill again. I don't know. You got fucking squirrel out in the sun. You got coyote rectum. What am I supposed to do? It's
I was gathering moss for the pawn shop. I am almost out of meth. Cut all that. Woo.
So Wild Bill's explanation for this is, that's the old Marine on the job, bro. I don't know, but nobody, even Wild Bill, doesn't even have a guess at what that could possibly mean. They set up a trail cam, though. And
I've never met a Marine who just runs into the woods to gather moss and then almost falls into a trap. It's just not a normal thing. That
he's constantly shouting "Oorah" like he's an old Marine.
Yeah, that's right.
I would love to see if we could find out if he actually was a
I would
Marine.
love it if it was a stolen valor situation.
There's no way he's a Marine. A Marine. One of the things that you know a Marine for is discipline. Do you think Wild Bill ever learned any of that? So we're on our night hunt, and Trapper explains, well, we're basically going to intimidate Bigfoot. And that's their plan. So they split up into teams, just like usual. And Trapper says, Bill, don't get rambunctious.
In intimidation?
You just know exactly what that means. That means...
Yeah.
Bill,
stay sober for just one night, please.
I just, it's been 2 hours. We know you're coming down. Don't top up yet. Top up when it's time to fight the Bigfoot, okay? So Trapper starts banging on a tree, which is how they're going to intimidate Bigfoot, even though Bigfoot taught them that.
Right.
Like, in that first scene, Bigfoot was banging on a tree.
Failed to dig a hole and failed to cross a tiny stream. And that's all he knows about them.
He's watched them almost die in a stream and build him a lovely bath.
Yes.
I'm going to use that later. That's great. A cannonball straight into that motherfucker. Trapper's banging on trees. Jeff has his thermal. Wild Bill finds another track. Willie gets really excited here about the track. He says it's the first time he's like found something like this. I'm starting to think maybe they didn't tell him. Like maybe he's the only one that didn't, and he's just gonna be hard because he gets really excited that he gets to find the track. He's like, I found the track. He's just his little heart is not gonna take it when this podcast comes out and he finally understands. What? What do you mean? We've been out there at night. I heard him. Now what happens next is that out here in again, I stress, where no human being has ever set foot.
Right.
In this
Holler's too deep.
Abandoned holler, they find the thickest brush they've ever seen, and they try to push their way through it, and they come across an old house.
And when I watched the episode, I said out loud to my room, please let that be the Ohio Grassman's house.
I swear to God, I did the same thing. I said,
amazing.
Is that fucking Bigfoot's house? Are we going in Bigfoot's house? And it turns out it is. They say it's probably an old moonshine shed. Just then Bigfoot howls because this is his house and he doesn't want them going in his house. Because I guess he makes moonshine in there and it is delicious. It's prime ape shine. You won't find the better.
And to confirm that it's his house, they do find a Bigfoot nest, which is a small pile of sticks in the corner
inside
of the room.
the house.
He built a nest inside the house.
Like with straight up insulation and windows and everything. Like
it's straight up Bigfoot's house. I love this goddamn show so much. We found Bigfoot's house. And he's mad that we're in it.
Love it.
And he built a little child's
nest in the human house.
He built a child's fort inside of it. And Buck says, it smells like sulfur. Bang! Something hits the side of the house. Everybody screams, wildly pointing their guns at each other. And again, I just want to stress, if there was any chance those were loaded, every single member of this would have died by each other's hand by now. Every single one. You would have seen they would have cut to commercial and cut back, and Buck's brains would have just splattered all over the camera lens. And that would be they would be recapping. So up until now, Buck has been alive, but now he's very much not so.
Yeah, although to be clear, if these guys carried guns on these expeditions, they would not have made it out of 2006 or whatever year they supposedly started doing it. It would have been like one news blotter story from West Virginia where 7 men were discovered in the woods having all done a Reservoir Dogs and found each other while simultaneously
every one of their plans at some point that has them all pointing as trying to pincer move.
This would be the best season of Fargo if you show them in the 2 minutes where they kill each other, and then the rest of the season is just a detective trying to figure out what the fuck happened.
I think this might have been Bigfoot's house? That can't be right.
We also get a back-to-back, Sean. We got that in last episode too.
Hillbilly Phalanx. It's impenetrable.
They do the back-to-back. Let's get back to back. Like they call it out.
Back-to-back and Bigfoot track. So, and here's also there's so many good moments in this one. So, Buck and Willie ready their guns way too much, and Wild Bill grabs a big log, and that's his weapon. Because I think there's a reason Wild Bill can't have guns.
He has sold all of them for meth.
In the middle of this, while they were being ambushed and I realize, listeners, we keep referring to the Ohio Grassman as Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Please, we are interchanging. It's the way some people refer to chimpanzees as monkeys. I guess just there's terminology that we're not being scientific in what we're calling it. But in the middle of this home being ambushed, when they are squatting in the Ohio Grassman's house in the woods, and he's throwing rocks at it to get them to leave. They stop and do an interview to camera about the situation, explaining that they could die at any moment.
I'm not sure if the Grassman is just slapping the piss out of this house or what, is what Buck says. But they're giving the interview while he does it. And I love thinking about if this is real and having a camera outside. Is Bigfoot just whips rocks at him and looks in the window, and Buck is like just giving an interview to the camera. He's like, what the fuck, man? Get out of my house!
He's really asking us to leave now. You can hear him right off camera.
Kid built a fort in there. My wife's going to be so mad. Wild Bill says, we on his home turf, and he just does not like it. Because he has topped up again. God damn it, Bill. Yep. He's getting, I'm sorry, he got rambunctious.
He's getting a little too rambunctious.
His energy is up here. So then they leave the house and then go back into the house. And then remember, because Bigfoot bangs on the house again. And they're like, oh, right. And so they leave the house again.
Oh my God.
They forgot that Bigfoot was mad and went back in. And he was like, fucking get out. So they get out. And they made, they made an episode out of this. And I love them for it. Jeff is on the thermal again. Buck is like, well, we should get away from that house. And they all do. They meet up with Trapper. And Trapper says, I seen him, guys. When that sumbitch hit that back corner, his ass stuck out. I seen his ass. That's all I seen, that son of a bitch.
Failed to capture it on camera, unfortunately.
That motherfucker Bigfoot mooned me, is what he said. I saw that ass. And then what do? They cut to a testimonial so Trapper could say, he bent over like that, his ass stuck around the corner of the building, and that's all I seen. End of testimonial. The best 15 seconds of television that have ever been is Trapper like a school child. Just, I seen his ass. And then explain how it happened. Well, what happened was I seen his ass.
So then is it after that when Trapper says, now it's personal, the Grassman has messed with us for the last time?
It's a little while out of that after that.
I apologize.
Because we have to recap what has happened up until now, including Trapper seeing a Bigfoot ass, which is the highlight of his life. There's another snap. They try to flank Bigfoot. Wild Bill gives a testimonial where he says, this right here is my whooping stick. Upside his head, that old Grassman. I might have to give him a little attitude adjustment. Real fucking high energy.
I like how the plan has gone from this elaborate pit to like, let's go bonk him with a stick.
We found his house, and now let's hit him. Let's get Wild Bill real rambunctious, and then let him loose with a log. It's
against a creature that, again, according to their own folklore, is 9 feet tall and weighs 1,000 pounds.
Right.
That's 5 men. That's the strength of 5 men. And the plan is now for, I'm not saying that Wild Bill is not in peak physical condition or that he doesn't have a lot of practice hitting things with a log.
Yeah. It's one of the best.
But even all of their guns, you would have to guess, would maybe not be effective against this thing for all they know. Like, they have no reason to believe those shotguns are going to do anything.
Well, Trapper says, very regretfully, if I'd been a little quicker, I could have put one in his left hip. She just wanted to. I could have at least just fucking wounded him. I could have hurt him. I could have shot him right in that butt, but I didn't. I'll always regret it. Trapper has the balls to say, in the history of the Grassman, that's the second nest ever found.
a great bit of improv.
What a wonderful bit of
pulls
trivia
out of his ass. Like, see, that's how you do it.
Yep.
When you make up stuff, you've got to be like extremely specific.
They did talk about the nests at the beginning. Like, the first thing they said about the Grassman is he loves to go out and build nests, but they only ever before this moment found the one.
So he knows they at least did have one, though. So he had to be okay. Well, it's the second one. Jeff catches the Grassman on thermal. It's, of course, a distant blob that is not in the shape, specifically not in the shape of a Bigfoot. It looks like a dog again.
A dog, maybe.
Kind of looks like. It might even be a clip from the previous episode that they did not have new thermal for this episode.
Cut to it, and it's always somebody's dog, no matter what it is. It's always a dog on thermal, and they think we can't see it. Well, Wild Bill gets excited, says, I got a sight of him right here. The camera remains steadfastly pointed at Wild Bill. It never even tries to look at the Bigfoot. And now here's where Huckleberry, they cut to him, and Huckleberry says, he toyed with us like we were children. Now we're pissed.
Again, I realize we'd be stating the obvious to merely recap the actions that have led them to this moment. But they traveled from out of state to the Ohio Grassman's territory because a man saw it, and a second man saw it go swimming.
Yep.
They showed up, tried to build a trap to drown it, and then went to its house with guns, and it threw rocks at the house to get them to leave. And they are now in a state of blind rage. Like, this is a blood feud they have with the Ohio Grassman based on its inexcusable actions it has taken.
I think it's very appropriate that we're pausing to recap the podcast up until now.
We should be doing it more often.
We should be doing it
more on
often. Theme. There should be 20% content of this podcast.
It is rare that it's so clear when our heroes are the bad guys. Like, they're nothing other than villains. Like, invading somebody's territory. They're digging up holes in his yard. They're breaking into his house with weapons.
Into whose house?
Into the Grassman's house.
Into Bigfoot's house. They're breaking into Bigfoot's house. They got past the security system, which was some brush.
They know this is an uninhabited holler. Like, this holler has been forgotten by man lo these centuries.
And Wild Bill still has his log, his co-whooping stick, and he is running. He's gonna stick fight a Bigfoot, is what he's gonna do. Willie has found more tracks, and then he says, "Oh, it's crazy! You won't believe it. We just missed him. He ran right past the trap," which I guess is good because they won't have to fake Bigfoot special effects too much. But also in the fiction of this universe, if everything was real, Bigfoot was like, "Yeah, I know, you fucking assholes. I watched you build this." He ran right past it, never even considered going in it.
What I like about this is the delusion. Like, for example, when Buck just falls into the water and like just can't walk. He might die from strolling through the water. And he's talking about how I'm a husky ninja. Like, he's demonstrated he can't walk, and yet in his mind, I'm actually more agile than a normal person. That's the level of delusion these men are dealing with. They might really think that they're hunting a Bigfoot.
What if none of them know? What if they all think it's real? They're all totally genuine, and it's the producers fucking with them. How
just
good
like
a show
someone's
is this?
Bonking on the side of the house.
Yes, the producer is putting on a Bigfoot glove and grabbing them, and they're like, "Fucking Bigfoot, grab me!" He found a Bigfoot, just the ass part of a Bigfoot costume, and mooned Trapper, and it's all just producers making them think it.
That is not. There's a non-zero chance of that. Absolutely,
it could
I don't
be
think
that.
It's as likely as a bunch of people just getting together to lie to us, but it could be that for sure.
So Bigfoot never even considered going in their trap because he watched them build it, and in the fiction of their universe, he watched them build it. So of course, and then they all stopped to respect how Bigfoot outsmarted them. They're like, "He ain't dumb. Yeah. No. He saw that trap. He ran right past."
Another trope of the show is every creature they run into.
This is episode 3, and the creatures have outsmarted them twice, and then just not shown up the third time. They turned out to be dogs the third time.
Right. Didn't exist and outsmarted twice.
But hold on. They made a trail cam. So they checked that trail cam, and you know what they got? A straight-on, full-on picture of Bigfoot right on the other side of that dirt pile. It's just a picture of Bigfoot. Like, that's
Can't argue with it.
We've been making fun of him all this time, but they got him.
Yeah, we all remember seeing this picture when, like, the huge news broke around the world.
This is how we know. This is how we know about Bigfeet. This is how the Bigfoot Wars began, of course. It's a gorilla costume. We said that at the start. It's the gorilla costume they based that CGI off of. They bought it from a prop store and filled it with leaves or something and propped it up there. It's the deadest looking thing you've ever seen. And then they say, "Oh, that was the first frame, and he was out of frame before it could snap again. He's just that fast."
Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, we used the world's worst camera to capture once-in-a-lifetime footage of Bigfoot. And by the way, another time when I have real beef with the production of the show, how much effort would it have taken to have, in that photo, made it look like the Bigfoot was jumping over the
If he was long jumping it with them big thighs, and you know why he's got them big thighs.
No, you just saw his feet coming down the top of the frame.
Oh God, that'd be so
and
funny.
Wild Bill, like, that's his feet up there. He jumped over the
Some
trap.
bitch can jump 85 feet. I saw him do it.
No, come get me. I fell in the trap.
I fell in the trap again, boys. I'm caught up. I'm caught up in something. It's the car. You're trapped in the backseat of the car. It's the seatbelt. Just hold still. No, hold
Who
still.
said
You're
that? I'll
not
hit you with
helping.
my log.
So Trapper says, we struck fear in that sumbitch's heart tonight. He ran from us. So I'm like,
Amazing.
why are we terrorizing Bigfoot? We have never established why we'd set out to terrorize. Well, like we set out just to terrorize him, not even kill him, not wound him. Our job, mission accomplished. He's fucking scared. We know.
As if that was mission accomplished. And again, all you need is a 2-minute interview with a local saying, well, the Grassman's been getting closer and closer to our territory and our land year after year. If somebody could just scare him away, just put the fear of God in him. As long as he stays in his territory, we'll be fine. But, he can't be coming out here messing with our livestock. That's it. That's all you need. And then, hey, we put a scare into him. He won't be coming back here. Mission accomplished. But they don't circle back and do things like that.
This show is so obscure that it is almost a certainty somebody involved with it will find this podcast and will listen to it. And if you're listening to this, you can take all of these ideas. You can have them. Use them. Go ahead.
Hey, I'll give you another one. You know how we saw them try and fail to build a trap for the Grassman? Wouldn't it have been funny if it had turned out that he had put that house in the woods as a trap for them? And the Grassman successfully executed the plan, and the Grassman captured them on its much better game.
If he captures them in the same box,
yes,
it's the same. He built them a box, and they stepped on the pressure plate. And we end the episode with them just all looking dejected in a box as Bigfoot laughs off screen. That's the perfect episode.
I'll give you another one. The previous episode, the devil dogs, in the beginning when you speculated that it lived in a silver mine, or was that the wolf man that lived in the silver mine?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. At the ending, you can come to the conclusion that probably old prospectors used to dress up in wolf-like hides to scare off people from the silver mine.
Wait, that's Scooby-Doo. You Scooby-Doo'd
the
it.
silver mine. yeah, and say like, all we've done is caught these few dogs, but we've discovered something much more interesting because we've discovered these old furs and hides in the mine. We think that was people. They created that legend to scare people away from their silver. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
You could explain that there genuinely used to be wolfmen, but when the silver mine ran out, they had to get jobs, and they slowly evolved into huckleberries, and that would explain those horrible feet.
I wouldn't mind a hot girl. You'd have like a Daisy Duke type every episode. She could get mysteriously disappeared by the end of every episode.
Hot Bigfoot.
Have any women shown up in this show through 3 episodes?
No,
not a one.
Absolutely not.
So this doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
You're right. This might not be feminist television.
As a sneak preview of episode 4, which I've not seen but I'm aware of, because I saw like a teaser for it, they do note that it's I think it's Willie. They're saying that it's his farm that's being terrorized by whatever the creature is, and that it's like messing with his chickens or something, or his pigs.
Personal.
But I 100% believe they got a note back when they watched the cut of this episode saying, hey, you need to justify your vendetta against this creature.
The note was just, why kill Bigfoot?
Yeah, you're not explaining why you're so mad at it. And you keep saying things like, now it's personal. You're kind of playing into a stereotype of people from that region that if you walk across the corner of their property, they will shoot you just to have an excuse.
Huh. That's weird. On that note, let's figure out our favorite quote. I can't imagine a world in which it's not unanimous, right? I mean, I'll let you go, but I know what it's got to be.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to bow to your judgment. Say it is the Bigfoot ass thing.
I seen Bigfoot's ass.
That is a bit of improv that he just kept going. It goes on for a while.
I can't imagine a universe. There are so many good quotes. I won't blame you for having a personal favorite, but the objective best is, I seen him, guys. I seen Bigfoot's ass.
Because you have to be a Bigfoot, didn't you? You have to open up your mouth. You had to be a Bigfoot, didn't you? All your friends were so knocked out. You had to have the last word last night. You know what everything's about. You had to have the white hot spotlight. You had to be a Bigfoot last night. Whoa, whoa.